Netflix.
Because this movie has an audience. I think most people our age know this movie, right? I don't think many people 15 years younger than us know about it, but people our age, because this is a cult classic.
Yeah. Maybe with the success of Cobra Kai, we'll get a Only the Strong TV series. I
know we're exploring a lot of we're kind of talking about this movie. We're sort of exploring a couple of the negative issues about it, but one thing I do love, I just want to get this out of the way. One thing I do love is I was reading this article about it, and this person wrote, the film is super sincere. It'll shatter your irony shield. And I believe that's true. Dacascos in this movie is just super earnest in this film. And I like that about him. He seems like a very nice presence in this film. Everybody's all in on the capoeira. I like that the principal is never like, I'm going to shut your program down. And then he never does that. And then when he
defended it, they were defending it to the whatever administrators would show up in the suits during their practices.
And then he gets kicked out of the school for about 3 seconds, goes on a revenge mission, stops everybody. Then he's back at the school and everyone's cheering him. He went on a murder mission. So I love that about it. And this is just, there's very little real world stuff in here. So much is yada yada. I mean, poor Orlando probably got hustled and threatened by Silverio in court because he had to testify against him. That could lead to death. Yeah, I'm going to kill your friends. I'm going to kill your teacher. That's a whole nother movie right there. That's the client. Susan Sarandon shows up. I'll keep you safe. Tommy Lee Jones is there. I got you. But once again, it fast forwards through everything.
Yeah, it's tied up this happy little bow at the end.
And he gets picked up in the air. This is a guy who shows up. He does change the life of students. I do agree. I think the capoeira program will be really good for students. That kid was so in love with capoeira, he died trying to get that instrument that he had. And then he goes on a murder mission, and then he's applauded. Why can't we have more of these movies, Erik? I understand the 8% tomato meter score, but it's just so earnest and funky that it's welcome.
It had 77% audience score.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's
and
the
IMDb score is legit too. I think it's 6.5, which is 6.7. That's really good on IMDb. So there's definitely an audience for this, but it only has 5,838 ratings, which that's not a lot.
I also think that the industry in general has moved away from the whole teacher going into urban cities and making a difference. I think they've gone to more of a sports theme. I mean, I think so many of the more turnaround stories that we're seeing are from sports. And it's always about the teacher or the coach has their own demons. Like, what was it? Keanu Reeves on Hardball? Where he was a gambler and he learned to be a better person by coaching the kids. Or Gordon Bombay.
That kid dies, Erik.
On what? On Hardball?
Hardball.
Oh, that's right. That's another. Why do they always have kids dying on these teacher or coach movies? But I think I think Mighty Ducks was the turning point with Gordon Bombay, the real prick lawyer who got a DUI, had to do community service by coaching hockey.
Blood, breath, or urine?
What movie was that?
Oh, in Mighty Ducks, he goes, "No thanks, I already ate."
Oh, when he got the DUI, yeah. That's right.
That's a good line.
Oh yeah. But I think they've gone to the model where it's not about helping the kids; it's about the coach becoming a better person or the teacher becoming a better.
Yeah,
look at Ben Affleck in The Way Back, a brilliant movie. I loved it. One of the best casting movies I think I've seen in a long time. But he had the alcoholism issues. Keanu and Hardball had the gambling issues. It's always about someone who has an issue going in and becoming a better person because of the team. Or what was it? Glory Road, where the guy was so stuck on the fundamentals and he didn't realize that the game was changing and he learned so much about standing up for his team. I think it was UTEP, the basketball movie. I mean, there's so many other movies. And I think the whole genre has changed. Like, you never see this benevolent teacher going in to help someone because it's gone into they've got their own demons.
Yeah, Dacascos has no demons.
No. Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds, no demons.
That's refreshing, right? That's refreshing, right?
Is it? I think it's more interesting, though, from an audience perspective, if there's a dual narrative going on. Like, you've got the class being turned around, and then you've got the teacher's life being turned around at the same time. It's got to be more compelling.
I guess what I like about Only the Strong is there's no tournament. in this movie. This could have been a mythical world where Miami has Capoeira high school fighting thing, like, wrestling teams in Florida. We wrestled, so it's basically weight classes with Capoeira in high school. Gigantic mat. They have to rent out a facility to give them enough room.
You have the rich school from across the town who's got like the kids that have been training since they were 5.
And then Dacascos Dacascos' ex-girlfriend is with the jerk coach. And then he has to like sway her. And then he has to train his Capoeira team to take on the rich kids across town because they're the bad. Like, I love that there's no tournament in this movie. There's no internal conflict.
I disagree, I think, with the tournament, because I think the reason they went to sports instead of teaching movies is because you could have some element of action. Like, you've got suspense with the games, the almost winning, the coming from behind. It gives you a lot more time and that kind of have a taut, suspenseful thriller. Otherwise, you got to fill time with a kid dying, like in every other teacher movie, or some health issue. Like I watched Stand and Deliver, by the way. It was in the 80s with Edward James Olmos. By the way, I think Only the Strong and Dangerous Minds and other movies are just cheaper versions of Stand and Deliver. But he had a heart attack in it that, his students had issues. So I think, like, if you don't have that sports element of a tournament, you have to fill that drama in other ways that are really depressing.
You make a great point. And I agree with you 100%. I just love watching Only the Strong, just because none of the students you don't see the internal life of any of the students. You don't really know the internal life of Mark Dacascos. No. He never has any issues. There's no tournaments. These kids don't start Capoeira to 20-something minutes in, and then they lose that for a revenge film, and then it becomes a machete chainsaw fighting movie, and then they pick him up at the end after he murdered people. I just love how weird it is. Like, by a storytelling technique, was that smart? No. Is there, when that kid dies in the fire, you're like, wait, he went back to get an instrument and died? That takes a lot of the impact out of it, too, because, yes, he loves his teacher, but he was home free. And it wasn't like Silverio killed a kid. Like, the kid ran back in, so that takes that power away from the bad guy. So a lot of decisions in this movie are not correct from a script writing standpoint.
Maybe they had a bet to see how many different elements of film they could sneak into one movie. Yeah. I mean, you had martial arts, you have like international exotic, you had teachers, action, romance, drama with someone dying, revenge, and graduation, and redemption, all in one.
I mean, that's fun, right? I like that they.
Can we call it inspired? Could we call it inspired to have that many different elements of a movie in?
Yeah, I would say so. Why not? Like
I agree with that.
And I mean, it's different, right? And it's just, I don't know. And I also like, okay, this sounds weird, but in '93, we weren't, like, Mark Dacascos shows up, and his parents were from the Philippines, and then they were up to Chinese, Filipino, and Spanish ancestry. He grew up, his dad, Al Dacascos, is from Hawaii. Why do I say it like that? Hawaii. Oh, geez Louise. But he...
Very politically correct, though.
Yeah, but I love, though, that he shows up, and like, he's just Stevens. In '93, we didn't get that much, right? There's just, like, Jackie Chan wasn't on the scene quite yet. Jackie Chan popped up with the popularity of Quentin Tarantino. I mean, obviously, Jackie Chan was making movies in the 80s, Jet Li, Sammo Hung. I mean, there were a lot of Asian cinema, but once again, Eric, I was 11, and I had access to a tiny video store and a VHS tape, so we didn't have those movies. So I thought it was really cool in '93 to see Mark Dacascos, this cool, fresh-faced guy who's just a regular character. They didn't bring up any of... I don't know, I dug it. I thought that was a really refreshing angle of it, too. Like, you just get this new guy who's going to be cool. Like, they didn't have to bring up, like, oh, yeah, who's this guy? Like, I don't know. It felt refreshing to have this guy.
He's had one hell of a career, though. I mean, he's been in it a long time. He was in Wu Assassins, right?
Yeah, he was in Wu Assassins. He was in John Wick Chapter 3.
I love
Brotherhood of the
Wu
Wolf.
Assassins.
Yeah, that's a good show. Iko Yue. Louis Tan. I was watching Mortal Kombat, by the way. Not the best movie, but Louis Tan is all shoulders, man. Louis Tan just works out his shoulders.
I like Louis Tan a lot. I'm glad they casted him.
Yeah,
I think cool. he's got a big future ahead of him.
All right, so hey, real quick. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll get back to Only the Strong. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Eric, you got something for me.
I do. I have questions for Mark.
Oh,
It is my favorite feature of the episodes where I try to stump Mark with a bunch of random questions, some of which are loaded. I already know the answer to. I just want to see how he answers.
yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
So, Mark, during your podcast, you like to talk about your bouncer days at a bar in Tallahassee. When you were a bouncer, did you ever break up any capoeira fights?
Never. So yeah, in Tally and St. Pete, I never saw that because you can't capoeira in bars, especially Big Daddies. There's no way to capoeira. Like, there, that was the nice thing about those bars is there's really no room for kicking either. So it was just, if anybody was going to come at me, it was just fists because you have no room to do anything else. And if someone actually tried to do capoeira in one of the bars, it would start more fights because you would just have kicks flying everywhere, beers flying, heads flying, errant kicks getting people. Like, you know, when you're prepping for it, you lean your elbow back, you knock somebody's beer, they punch you, another person jumps in punching. Capoeira is a bouncer's worst nightmare because it would just set off a massive explosion of fights because of the capoeira in it.
Oh, well, you know, another way to look at it is someone could just be doing the Jenga and pretending to dance, but really just do the Jenga and do capoeira just so they're ready for any fights that may.
Yeah, if you have enough room, right? Remember in Tallahassee, there was that Chubby's? That was a big bar. And that had a decent amount of room. Or, you know what? You could probably capoeira in a line dancing bar.
Yeah.
Because
Chubby was a bowling alley that they turned into a club. But you're right, line dancing has a lot of space involved.
You could capoeira in a line dancing bar.
There are kicks involved sometimes with line dancing.
Yes. So capoeira in a honky-tonk bar. Or every Friday they turned a bar into a line dancing bar in Tallahassee. Remember? What was it called?
Right.
I don't even remember it. Oh man. I don't think I ever went to it.
It's all right. I got those partying days out of my system, so I'm not 40 and living the dream anymore.
Well, that was what, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
More than that.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that we remember so much, but if in a line dancing bar, you could do capoeira. Not in the bars I worked at.
Good answers. So next question, which actor would you like to see learn capoeira for an Only the Strong remake?
Oh man. Only the Strong remake.
It's Only the Stronger would be the sequel.
Only the Stronger.
Or The Strongest? I don't know.
Let's get Louis Tan in there. Let's have Louis Tan, Only the Strongest. Of Blue Assassins, of Mortal Kombat fame. Let's have him get in there.
That is good. I was going to say Frank Grillo. Hilarious.
Completely earnest capoeira?
No, he wouldn't be earnest. He would take his own take on it. Be kind of grizzled, kind of angry.
This knife fighting capoeira.
Johnny Bernthal.
Oh man.
Angry capoeira.
Whoa. Actually, I want that movie. John Bernthal as an alcoholic former basketball player who learns capoeira there's an opening at the high school for a capoeira coach and he teaches it to himself. And then he has to fight the rivals. Coached by
next Punisher movie, he just goes straight capoeira instead of guns.
Coached by, get this, John Bernthal is a coach against Frank Grillo. And at the end, Frank Grillo, John Bernthal have a capoeira fight and no one knows who's who.
What do you mean no one knows who's who?
Because they look so alike.
Like it's like the same person fighting themselves.
Who's winning? Let's get Louis Tan. Louis Tan down there. I like that. He could do capoeira.
All right. Got it. All right. Next question. Which movie had a better upside down kiss? Spider-Man? Like the original Spider-Man with Sam Raimi, or Only the Strong?
Only the Strong. This one's way more athletic. Now, iconic.
All right.
All right, so
he did a handstand while kissing someone. They did a full-on back arch. No, he lands the back arch and continues the makeup session.
Yeah. I like that kiss from Spider-Man was very inspired. Good rain smooch. On every poster. I mean, I would say it's an iconic visual because of how much money that movie's made. I mean, that was a big classic shot for that first film, but it's not nearly as athletic as what Dacascos did in this movie.
I would be breathing really heavily on the person I was kissing, and I'd be worried about falling on them.
Water going up your nose. I mean, it's just, Dacascos right there because that was more athletic.
Yeah, that was impressive with his old high school flame, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend was terrible. How about Mr. Death Squad? He's like, what are you doing at that firehouse? And she's like, well, why don't you come and see? And he's like, oh, fair enough.
Oh, that guy was awful. There was no subtlety there whatsoever.
Yeah, he was out of place in such a nice movie. And at the end, he didn't clap.
what would be a better Netflix series